Hello, I am Steve Meinberg, President of the Jefferson College Board of Trustees. Across the nation, we have seen an escalation of active killer events in the workplace, schools, and entertainment venues. Our goal at Jefferson College is to develop a uniform crisis response approach for the whole community that is safe, respectful, and intervention-oriented in dealing with the threats to the safety of all who attend, work, and visit our campuses. We believe knowledge is the key to being prepared and that sound decision-making and situational awareness are the first steps in creating and maintaining a safe environment. In response to this, we have begun implementing the Campus Safety Initiative. It is not possible to develop a plan that addresses every possible scenario. However, we believe that we can develop a process that would help improve our ability to analyze the situation rapidly and determine the best course of action. I hope that you will take time to carefully and thoughtfully view the following presentation and work to adapt the process into your daily life so that you and the community can grow in your awareness of your surroundings, your situations, and your decisions and how you deal with them. Thank you.
One wonders if it takes a tank falling on your head to recognize you are in a bad situation. Situational awareness involves being aware of what is happening in the vicinity in order to understand how information, events, and one's own actions will impact goals and objectives, both immediately and in the near future. The ability to identify, process, and comprehend the critical elements of information about what is happening. One with an adept sense of situational awareness generally has a high degree of knowledge with respect to inputs and outputs of a system. For example, an innate feel for situations, people, and events that play out due to variables the subject can control. Lacking or inadequate situational awareness has been identified as one of the primary factors in accidents attributed to human error. Thus, situational awareness is especially important in work domains where the information flow can be quite high and poor decisions may lead to serious consequences. For example, piloting an airplane, functioning as a police officer, or treating critically ill or injured patients as a nurse or doctor. Simply put, knowing what is going on around you is your awareness of your situation and may improve your ability to work through the situation successfully and safely. Situational awareness is very important not just for personal safety, but as a fundamental building block in a sound decision-making. Situational awareness brings recognition of a hazard and time to take action. Whether in business, operating a motor vehicle on the interstate, or facing an active killer, to be aware is the key to a proper decision. It is important to note that situational awareness is more of a mindset than a hard skill. It is not something that can only be done by the highly skilled operators in military conflict. It can be exercised by anyone with the will and the decision to do so. Situational awareness is not only important in recognizing dangerous situations, such as a terrorist attack, but also can be developed to see threats on the field of sports, in the offices of businesses, and the courtrooms. Any place that can bring about a dangerous situation, being aware is the key to coming out on top. To illustrate, let's look at the following situation using the most recent event and the top of our priorities in using situational awareness, the Boston bombing. During the Boston Marathon on April 15, 2013, 2 pressure cooker bombs exploded at 2:49 p.m., killing 3 people and injuring 264. The bombs exploded about 13 seconds and 210 yards apart near the finish line on Bolston Street. To make sure we develop our proper mindset, let us quickly go through the levels of awareness that we throughout the day operate at and then apply them to the situation. People typically operate on 5 distinct levels of awareness. There are many ways to describe these levels, but perhaps the most effective way to illustrate the differences between levels is to compare them to the different degrees of attention we practice while driving. For our purposes, we will refer to the levels as tuned out, condition white, relaxed, awareness, condition yellow, focused awareness, condition orange, high alert, condition red, and comatose, condition black. The first level, tuned out, is similar to when you are driving in a very familiar environment or engrossed in thought, a daydream, a song on the radio, or even by the kids fighting in the back seat. Increasingly, cell phone calls and texting are also causing people to tune out while they drive. Have you ever arrived somewhere in your vehicle without even really thinking about your drive there? If so, then you were experiencing being tuned out. The second level of awareness, relaxed awareness, is like defensive driving. This is a state in which you are relaxed, but you are also watching the other cars on the road and are looking at the road ahead of for the potential hazards. For example, if you are approaching an intersection that another driver looks like he may not stop, you tap your brakes to slow your car in case he does not. Defensive driving does not make you weary, and you can drive this way for a long time if you have the discipline to keep yourself from slipping into tuned-out mode. If you are practicing defensive driving, you can still enjoy the trip, look at the scenery, and listen to the radio. But you cannot allow yourself to get so engrossed in those distractions that they exclude everything else. You're relaxed and enjoying your drive, but you are still watching for road hazards, maintaining a safe following distance, and keeping an eye on the behavior of the drivers around you. The next level of awareness, focused awareness, is driving in hazardous road conditions. You need to practice this level of awareness when you are driving on icy or slushy roads, and are the pothole-infested roads populated by erratic drivers that exist in many developing countries. When you are driving in such an environment, you need to keep two hands on the wheel at all times and have your attention totally focused on the road and the other drivers around you. You don't dare take your eyes off the road or let your attention wander. There is not time for cell phone calls or other distractions. The level of concentration required for this type of driving makes it extremely tiring and stressful. A drive that you normally would not think twice about will totally exhaust you under these conditions because it demands prolonged and total concentration. The fourth level of awareness is high alert. This is the level that induces an adrenaline rush, a prayer and a grasp for air all at the same time. This is what happens when that car you are watching at the intersection ahead doesn't stop at the stop sign and pulls out right in front of you. High alert can be scary, but at this level you are still able to function. You can hit your brakes and keep your car under control. In fact, the adrenaline rush you get at this stage can sometimes aid your reflexes. The last level of awareness, comatose, is what happens when you literally freeze at the wheel and cannot respond to stimuli, either because you have fallen asleep or at the other end of the spectrum because you are petrified. It is this panic-induced paralysis that concerns us most in relation to situational awareness. The comatose level is where you go into shock. Your brain ceases to process information and you simply cannot react to the reality of the situation. Many times, when this happens, a person can go into denial, believing that this can't be happening to you. Or the person can feel as though he or she is observing the event rather than actually participating in it. Often the passage of time will seem to grind to a halt. Crime victims frequently report experiencing this sensation and being unable to act during an unfolding crime. So let us take a look once more at the pictures of the before and the after of the Boston bombing and ask ourselves, which level do you think the people were operating in? The before. After. Situational awareness is only the first stage of decision making. We want to take what we have looked at so far and look closely at the process of decision making. To do so, we will look at Boyd's OODA loop to provide an effective framework for igniting creativity and initiating throughout our daily lives the tasks and challenges we encounter. By learning the OODA loop and applying it to situations, we develop in ourselves intuitive competence, creating, employing, and dealing with the ever-changing situations that permeates human life. Employing the OODA loop and then re-employing it to match the changing circumstances gives earlier awareness more options, better choices, and higher odds of escape and survival that are necessary to minimize violence and avoid tragic results. The OODA loop model was developed by Colonel John Boyd, the United States Air Force, retired during the Korean War. It is a concept consisting of the following 4 actions: to observe, to orient, to decide, and to act. This looping concept referred to the ability possessed by fighter pilots that allowed them to succeed in combat. It is now used by the U.S. Marines and other organizations. The premise of this model is that decision-making is the result of rational behavior, in which problems are viewed as a cycle of observation, orientation, decision-making, and action. Boyd's diagram the OODA loop as shown. An entity, whether an individual or an organization, that can process this cycle more quickly than an opponent can get inside the opponent's decision cycle and gain the advantage. Observation, scan the environment and gather information from it. Become aware of the situation. Orientation, use the information to form a mental image of the circumstances. As more information is received, you deconstruct all images and then create new images. Note that the different people require different levels of details to perceive an event. Often, we simply imply that reason people cannot make good decisions is that people are bad decision makers. Sort of like saying that the reason some people cannot drive is that they are bad drivers. However, the real reason most people make bad decisions is that they often fail to place the information that we do have into its proper context. This is where orientation comes in. Orientation emphasizes the context in which events occur so that we may facilitate our decisions and actions. Orientation helps to turn information into knowledge, and knowledge, not information, is the real predicator of making good decisions. Orient your options. Decision. Consider options and select a subsequent course of action. Determine your best response. Action. Carry out the conceived decision. Once the result of the action is observed, you start over. Note that in combat or competing against the competition, you want to cycle through the 4 steps faster and better than the enemy, hence its loop. Carry out your plan to your best ability. Note how orientation shapes observation, shapes decisions, shapes action, and in turn is shaped by the feedback and other phenomena coming into your sensing or observing window. Also note that how the entire loop, not just orientation, is an ongoing, many-sided, implicit, cross-referencing process of projection, empathy, correlation, and rejection. The loop doesn't mean that individuals or organizations have to observe, orient, decide, and act in order as shown in the diagram. Rather, picture the loop as an interactive web with orientation at the core, as shown in the diagram below. Orientation is how we interpret a situation based on culture, experience, new information, analysis, and heritage. Thus, the loop is actually a set of interacting loops that are kept in continuous operation.